going to talk to you about the Feelfree Lure 11.5 Sonar Pod. This is another feature that sold me on this kayak other than the seat. What I like about it is totally removable, just one latch, lift the complete pod out, and you've got your transducer, your power supply or your battery pack, and your depth finder in one package. It's nice because it does lighten up the load of the kayak when you're taking it to and from the water, from your truck to the water. And it's just overall a real neat concept to have. And there's a large hole in the bottom of the boat here, and that's where your transducer sits whenever you've got the unit installed. And what's nice about that is the transducer is a bit recessed in the bottom of the boat, so you don't have any objects or anything like that hitting it, especially when you're dragging it over, if you happen to be dragging it over rocky terrain. That's why I like this unit, and like I said, that really sold me on the boat. Now what I want to do is go over how I set all this up, so that if you happen to buy a similar unit that has a console like this, it'll give you some ideas. So why don't we go over to my workbench, and I'll bring the camera over and show you the inside and what I did to prepare this unit. I'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, here we are. First of all, I want to show you one disadvantage I kind of set me off on this was the fact that whenever you set your put your transducer on the bottom of the pod, it kind of makes it hard to set up right. When you have to lay it down like that, it takes up quite a bit of space on your bench or on your shelf that you store it on. So I came up with this little box. I had some scrap wood and foam, styrofoam laying around, and just built a small holding container, if you will. And that way it sits neatly in here, and when you set it up on the shelf, it keeps everything upright. You've got a lot of space on either side, and I just throw a towel or an old cloth over it to keep the dust off the unit. So again, what I did, first of all, I set up, decided where I want to put my transducer. I used socket head bolts and nuts. I put caulking, marine caulking around them so that it doesn't leak. Ran the cable up through and came. They provided a little rubber, some kind of rubber washer to help keep water out. It's not waterproof, just a little bit of water resistant. Went into the box here. I'll take the lid off. Have a couple latches holding the lid on. Take the lid off. And let's see if I can slide right to you. Hopefully you can see right there. Got a few accessories in here. A couple of towels and some rope. All right, what I did here is just kind of covered it up with foam. I didn't want anything bouncing around in it that might short across the battery post. So, as I said, I came in through the back to this hole they provided with the sonar cable. Then off the battery, I have a dual connecting post on each terminal. Off of there, put a couple of spade lugs on my cable going to for my power supply to the depth finder, and the other two wires are for a charger. I use the battery tender. It's a real neat little charger. I've been using these for years, particularly on these type of batteries. See, these are sealed. You don't want to overheat them, or you can ruin them, or even they could explode, or they'll swell up on you really. It could cause a fire. So it's important, if you're running this type of battery, that you get a proper charger. What happens is once it comes to full charge, that this particular charger will automatically trickle. And you can, if you forgot and left it on for several days, you're not going to hurt your battery. It'll just keep it topped off. So anyway, as I came out of the lower unit, I just zip tied the power cable and the sonar cable together until I got to the lid. Now this was the problem. The Sonar cable is about 15 feet long, I think. When I coiled it up and tried to put it in here or put it in the bottom, it gave me no room whatsoever. Made for a terrible installation. I couldn't get any of my accessories at all in here. I wanted to be able to use it for some accessories at least. So anyway, once I figured out that I could coil this thing up as tight as I can, and I just shoved it into this hollow space in the lid. Now, another thing is, I used, again, socket head bolts and nuts to install my ram mount. I used marine adhesive or marine silicone around that too to keep water from getting into the unit. If you do that as opposed to just use screws and put it in, which I don't trust that. This is kind of thin anyway. I was afraid it would pull off and then you'd have a mess. But if you're going to put nuts on the back side, you have to drill a few holes in the lid to get a nut driver in to put your nuts on your ram mount, which wasn't a big deal. So after I got the wire coiled up, I came out the top exit hole, and I have another foam insert there to help keep water out, and then onto your unit. So it really makes for a nice installation. They designed it like that, and again, that's another feature that sold me on the kayak. So again, see how nice and neat it is, and that's it. So I hope that if you buy a Feelfree or any other type of boat that has a console like this, this will give you some ideas on what you can do to set up your kayak. So until then, I hope you have a good day, and I hope to see you on the water. Goodbye.